It all starts at Qingtang Academy, where student life seems pretty normal until trouble decides to show up inside. A group of bullies decides to mess with a guy who just wanted his sister's medicine back. This angry young man is Lin Yu, who threatens to make the guys bitterly regret it if they don't cooperate, but the rich kid, Zhang Yang, and his sidekick just crack up, since Lin Yu's vitality level is a complete joke. The sidekick even makes a point to humiliate the guy, saying he only studies there because of his sister's talent. To make the provocation worse, Zhang Yang shows the blue vial and asks in a super sadistic way if he really wants the medicine. With a villainous smile, the rich kid stretches out his arm and dares Lin Yu to try and grab the item from his hand. The MC despairs and leaps to save the precious vial, but the worst was about to happen. The vial slams against the ground and shatters completely, spilling all the blue liquid onto the floor. Completely show of no mercy, Zhang Yang grabs Lin Yu by the collar to show who's in charge there. Then, he lands a heavy blow that throws the poor MC straight into the lockers. The bully still makes sure to step on Lin Yu's hand, making it clear that garbage belongs on the ground. Luckily, someone warns that the teacher is coming, and the arrogant bully finally stops beating up the guy. The two fools walk away laughing, repeating that the boy should stay on the ground with the dirt. All alone, Lin Yu mourns the loss of his sister's supplement and calculates how many extra hours he'll have to work to buy another one. With vengeance in his eyes, he vows that those two jerks will pay a heavy price for everything they did. While he's still on the ground brooding in anger, a gentle hand appears out of nowhere to offer him help. The owner of that hand is the sweet Lin Xin, who approaches with concern, asking if the MC is all right. He thanks her for the help as he stands up, but the friendly moment is cut short by an annoying noise. His watch starts beeping with his boss shouting that he's super late for his work shift. With no time to breathe, the young man dashes off while promising he'll get there in the blink of an eye. As he pedals his bicycle through the city, Lin Yu remembers that the world suffered a terrible mutation in the past due to the contamination. To face the chaos, some humans awakened superpowers and became warriors fighting on the front lines. Those who aren't so lucky end up losing their lives and turning into bizarre, bloodthirsty creatures called returned. The only way to stop these monsters from multiplying, or the infection from spreading, is by burning everything. That's why the MC's part-time job consists of going to the crematory to incinerate the bodies of fallen soldiers. Upon arriving at the location, he puts on his special protective suit and gets ready to start another day of heavy labor. He desperately needs to gather 200,000 coins by the end of the month to keep his sister's medical support running. Unlike him, his sister was a brilliant prodigy with super-rare telekinesis and insane combat power. However, on their 17th birthday, she mysteriously ended up slipping into a deep coma. Ever since that fateful day, she remains unconscious inside a life support capsule that costs a fortune. Since he was born without any talent, he now feels it's his duty to take care of her no matter what it takes. Earning 20,000 per burned body, he throws the first corpse into the furnace, thinking about replacing the destroyed medicine. The corpse begins to burn intensely, releasing a highly dangerous black smoke that requires extra caution. It's precisely because of this danger of bizarre mutation that the job pays so well, and almost nobody accepts working there. Suddenly, a shadowy, mysterious mist begins to form around the incinerator, scaring the guy through the protective glass. Lin Yu watches in shock at that dark energy he had never seen before. To his terror, tendrils of black smoke start escaping through the cracks and slither across the room floor. Before he can react, one of those smoke tendrils shoots straight toward the young worker's forehead. Instead of perishing, he feels an incredibly invigorating energy spread through every single cell of his body. Floating in a trance, the boy starts having intense visions about the life of the warrior he just cremated. He sees the youth of the deceased, Li Yang, a young man full of dreams who decided to enlist in the army as soon as he graduated. The soldier gave his absolute all until he managed to join an elite special operations brigade. Training under the scorching sun, the warrior always tried to break his physical limits to awaken his true potential. Day after day, Li Yang practiced strikes repeatedly to prepare for the worst possible scenario in battle until the day of combat arrived, and he fought bravely against mutant monsters to defend his home. Unfortunately, the warrior ended up getting hit by a fatal strike that ended his journey in a tragic way. Back to reality, Lin Yu's eyes go wide as he sees a progress bar loading a system inside his mind. Breathing heavily in a cold sweat, the guy tries to understand how he was able to see all the memories of the soldier he had just cremated. At that moment, a holographic screen projects right in front of him, confirming that the soul-devouring system has been activated. While trying to figure out what's going on, Lin Yu panics as he sees the strange floating system screen right in front of him. To make matters worse, the chained mutant wolf nearby begins to awaken, its eyes glowing red. The MC despairs as he realizes that a level 1 mutant creature has just reanimated right before his eyes. The beast roars furiously and starts thrashing with all its strength to break free from the chains holding it. Without giving him time to react, the giant wolf lunges and tackles the guy to the floor in an extremely violent attack. The monster pins the young worker, who tries to hold off the beast's sharp jaws to keep from getting devoured. At this critical moment, the system offers 3 skill options from the deceased warrior for him to choose from. Desperate and out of options, Lin Yu shouts for option B to try and get some military combat technique. The strike hits the mutant wolf, which backs away roaring while the MC feels a new surge of power in his veins. The system warns him that he needs to fight for real to increase the mastery of his new combat skill. With renewed fury, the terrible beast snaps its chains completely and prepares to strike again. The wolf charges fiercely, but Lin Yu manages to make an impressive leap backward to dodge the pounce. He lands nimbly and balanced on the cold floor, adopting a flawless and intimidating battle stance. The MC realizes that his reflexes have improved drastically and that he can predict every single move of the monster. The beast lunges once more with its sharp claws, determined to end the boy's life. Using his newly refined instincts, Lin Yu dodges the creature's lethal blow with complete ease. He takes a deep sigh of relief for having escaped that close call that almost took his head off. The guy realizes that his body is fighting practically on autopilot. Using the combat memories of the deceased soldier, he takes advantage of the opening to strike the mutant beast, showing that he's no longer that weak kid from before. With quick, precise movements, he gets close to the monster, dodging dangerous claws with agility. The MC leaps and lands a devastating combo right on the giant wolf's head to finish the fight. The force of the impact is so insane that it slams the beast directly into the concrete floor, cracking it wide open. Looking at the defeated beast on the floor, the guy is in complete shock, unable to believe the sheer power he possesses. He looks at the system screen and realizes that this military combat technique is insanely overpowered. Staring at his hands, the MC wonders if all of this happened because of that mysterious blue light from earlier. The system screen pops up again, notifying him that a new corpse is nearby and ready to be devoured. With a confident smirk, Lin Yu decides to seize the opportunity and test his new power on the mutant wolf's body. But before anything else, he stores the ashes of the deceased soldier with all the respect he deserves. He places the urn on the shelf and silently thanks the warrior who gave him this chance to survive. The guy walks back over to the beast's corpse and gets ready to repeat the soul absorption process. At that instant, a creepy, shadowy mist starts rising from the dead monster's body, heading straight for the guy. The dark energy wraps around Lin Yu's body, and he starts absorbing the creature's essence in an overwhelming rush. The MC's eyes glow intensely as he feels the wild power of the wolf flooding his mind. He lets out a scream of pure agony from the immense mental pressure this absorption is causing in his head. Suddenly, he is pulled into the beast's memories, seeing a horde of monsters destroying a burning city. He can feel the creature's insatiable hunger and the uncontrollable urge to devour any human in sight. The memories show the monster taking on entire armies and tearing through soldiers in a brutal war zone. Snapping back to reality, the MC falls to his knees, coughing heavily, trying to process the horror he just witnessed. He grows thoughtful as he realizes the kind of nightmare the frontline warriors have to deal with every single day. The system notifies him that the wolf's memory was successfully recovered and prompts him to pick a new skill. Analyzing the options on the holographic display, the guy hesitates over which power he should select for himself. He gets chills thinking that the devouring skill might mean he'd actually have to consume real people. To avoid taking any weird risks, the MC decides to go with the sharp claws skill. A chaotic red energy begins to concentrate in his right arm, changing its physical structure. His arm morphs into a monstrous, glowing red claw that can be activated whenever he enters combat. The guy flashes a massive grin seeing the system info, thinking that transformation is the coolest thing ever. Unfortunately, the excitement is short-lived because the system goes into cooldown and will only be available again in 12 hours. Knowing he needs to rest, Lin Yu sits on the floor to carefully study how that mysterious panel works. He focuses his attention on the absorb button of the military skill, trying to figure out what that feature can actually do. The young man wonders if this option would allow him to absorb the same skill multiple times to stack even more power. However, with the system on cooldown, Lin Yu realizes he'll have to wait a bit to test his new abilities in practice. As he inspects the floating menu more closely, he gets a jump scare discovering that the Soul Devourer itself has a level. This means the system can level up in the future, though the darn screen doesn't give a single hint on how to do that. The guy decides to set the mysteries aside for now and focus only on what he can already master at the moment. Remembering how useful the fighting techniques were in battle, he decides to use his free time to train his proficiency. Wasting no time, the MC begins repeating the military martial arts moves he inherited from the soldier's soul. He throws fast, precise strikes into the air, focused on completely mastering that new power now coursing through his veins. As he progresses through the routine, he notices the moves get way harder and would be impossible for a regular student. Fortunately, the inherited muscle memory makes it feel like he's already practiced that exhausting routine thousands of times before. After finishing an intense set of exercises, the guy finally stops to catch his breath and rest for a bit. Even though he's exhausted after just one set, he notices his blood flow feels much cleaner and his body looks more defined. With renewed determination and not wanting to lose momentum, the boy gets ready to start the heavy training all over again. The next day, exhaustion takes its toll, and Lin Yu ends up nodding off right in the middle of class, getting woken up by his teacher shouting. The woman gives him a harsh earful, saying that with his low vitality score, he's going to end up working manual labor jobs. With a gloomy face, the guy just lowers his head and apologizes for the trouble before sitting back down. The teacher ends the class and leaves frustrated, lamenting that such a talented young guy is throwing his life away like that. The MC rests his head on his hand, remembering he spent the entire night up training martial arts without a single wink of sleep. He looks at the menu and gets disappointed to see his mastery only went up to 11% after all that effort. While he thinks about how real battles help you level up faster, an annoying voice interrupts his thoughts in the classroom. The bully Zhao Lei approaches tauntingly, suggesting the guy drop out of school to beg for change alongside his sick sister Lin. Yu shoots a gaze so cold and intimidating that it makes the bully himself break into a cold sweat, unable to get why the boy seems so different. Young Lin Xin slams her desk angrily and defends the guy, but the bully tells the girl to shut her mouth and stay out of it. Having no patience for useless arguments, the MC grabs the girl's hand and pulls her away from that arrogant idiot. The girl turns completely red at the gesture and notices that Lin Yu's build looks way stronger and more attractive than before. Feeling ignored, Zhao Lei shouts in a rage that the guy is just a coward running away out of fear of getting beat up. The MC stops dead in his tracks and, with a deadly stare, challenges the bully to settle that score in the combat room. The bully's lackeys laugh, reminding everyone that Zhao Lei has special fight training and that the MC will end up broken. Lin Yu proposes a free spar where each person takes full responsibility for the outcome, and the bully accepts on the spot. Gossip spreads fast through the hallways, and several students run excitedly to the gym to watch the fight that promises to be a good one. Now in the martial arts room, the two opponents take their positions while a small crowd gathers to watch the matchup. One of Zhao Lei's sidekicks yells for him to end that joke quickly by just landing one good punch. The bully gets into a fight stance with a sadistic smirk, eager to show everyone the results of his special training. Totally calm and showing zero concern, the MC remarks that he's nothing more than a big-mouthed henchman. The bully loses his temper and throws a powerful punch straight toward the MC's face, who doesn't even blink. Outside the arena floor, Lin Xin screams her friend's name in despair, fearing the worst might happen to him right then. To everyone's absolute surprise, the MC calmly raises his hand and stops the bully's violent punch right in midair. Gripping his rival's fist with insane strength, Lin Yu warns with a dark glare that he'll make every single one of them regret it. The bully panics as he realizes he can't break free, unable to understand how a loser could be stronger than him. Without giving a single chance to defend, the MC pulls his opponent close effortlessly and sets up his counterattack. He lands a brutal knee strike right in the middle of Zhao Lei's face, sending the bully's blood flying that very instant right after. He follows up with a crushing blow that slams the bully's body directly onto the cold floor of the training room. The guy's body bounces off the ground from the force of the impact, while he screams in pain in front of his horrified friends. Down on his knees and completely humiliated, the bully spits blood and desperately realizes he just lost a tooth. Looking down with extreme coldness, Lin Yu warns that if he ever insults his sister again, losing a tooth will be the least of his problems. As the MC turns to walk away, the defeated bully spots a wooden training sword lying on the floor right beside him. Consumed by anger and humiliation, Zhao Lei grabs the weapon and lunges at the MC's back, screaming for him to drop dead. The coward swings a lethal sword strike with all the remaining strength he has left, driven by pure revenge. But the MC spins around fast and activates his sharp monster claws to block and shatter the sword blade. The bully falls backward in total panic, seeing that weird, glowing red claw stop just inches from his face. With claws glowing and a terrifying gaze, the MC coldly asks if he really wants to keep going with this. The crowd of students stands in shock at that bizarre claw transformation, wondering if the guy got corrupted by the infection. While the defeated opponent trembles in fear on the floor, the MC deactivates his monstrous claws and starts walking out. Still bleeding heavily, Zhao Lei shouts furiously that the feared Zhang Yang will never let this humiliation slide. Without showing the slightest sign of concern, Lin Yu simply replies calmly that he'll be waiting for their leader. Later, in the crematory locker room, the MC celebrates that the system's 12-hour cooldown has finally ended. He walks excitedly down the dark hallways of the place, but gets cut off by the sudden arrival of his grumpy boss. The man in the long coat complains about the boy's lack of manners and demands he learn how to greet people properly. The boss keeps grumbling that young people nowadays have no respect and show zero gratitude for even having a job. The guy just ignores the lecture in silence, knowing full well he was only hired because nobody else wanted that dangerous job. Having no patience for small talk, the man warns that a huge new shipment of bodies just arrived and tells the boy to get to work. Upon stepping into the cremation room, Lin Yu runs into 3 gurneys holding the bodies of warriors and a mutant beast. The MC observes the scene with concern, noticing that the number of fallen soldier corpses sent there has increased a lot. He recalls that in the memories of the mutant wolf he absorbed yesterday, the defense lines at the border were getting decimated. The guy starts asking himself with apprehension if the situation at the country's border really is that dangerous. Right after, he brushes the thought off, thinking that if things were that bad, it would already be all over the news. Either way, he knows he needs to focus on increasing his own strength as fast as possible to guarantee his survival. Before starting the absorption process, the guy offers a quick, silent prayer out of respect for the deceased warrior on the gurney. As he touches the soldier's chest, black smoke starts flowing into the MC's body while he absorbs the soul of the deceased. Noticing the uniform is identical to the previous warriors, he hopes to get an upgrade to his military martial arts. He lets out a long sigh of relief as soon as the dark energy calms down and merges completely with his own body. The system screen opens up, showing that the soul was successfully recovered, and presents 3 new skill options for the boy without hesitating for a single second. The MC picks option A to focus on his military combat techniques. He gets eager to see if the theory of absorbing the same skill repeatedly actually works to boost his mastery. Opening the panel details, he sees with satisfaction that his military technique leveled up to level 2, granting extra physical buffs. The boy flashes a huge smile upon confirming that it is indeed possible to level up skills just by absorbing repeated techniques hyped up by the discovery. He prepares to touch the next body, confident he'll reach max level in no time. To his disappointment, a red message pops up on the screen, warning that the Soul Devourer skill has gone on cooldown again. The MC complains to himself, remembering that his ultimate power has this annoying time limit and can't be used non-stop. Resigned to the situation, he decides to finish his work shift before turning his focus back to his combat training. Meanwhile, out on the dangerous front line of the border, the nighttime scene is total destruction with bodies scattered everywhere. Rescue workers collect the fallen soldiers' bodies with great care to avoid further damaging the remains. Huge transport trucks are loaded to the brim, with dozens of mutant monster carcasses eliminated in battle. The rescue supervisor pats the side of the heavy vehicle and orders the first fully loaded truck to head out immediately. The massive body transport truck starts driving away from the combat zone, continuing its trip down the dark road. However, right in the middle of that pile of dead monsters in the truck bed, a pair of sinister red eyes suddenly snaps open. A terrifying mutant beast that seemed dead reveals itself to be alive, glowing with a menacing dark energy right in the middle of the transport. Back at school, Lin Xin finds herself cornered in a deserted staircase by a group of troublemakers led by the vengeful Zhao Lei. The girl hugs her notebook tight against her chest in fear, while the bullies close in on her on the stairs. Leaning against the window, the leader Zhang Yang coldly warns that she needs to set up a meeting with Lin Yu so he can apologize on his knees. The villain approaches with a threatening look, making it clear that if she doesn't cooperate, she won't leave that hallway in one piece today. Despite her fear, Lin Xin bravely refuses and shouts that their group was the one who started the aggression and that Lin Yu did nothing wrong. With his head bandaged, Zhao Lei loses his patience and tells his leader not to waste time with her, accusing the girl of laughing at his defeat. The girl instantly shoots down the accusation, saying that is a flat-out lie and that she would never do a thing like that. One of the bullies aggressively snatches the notebook from her hands, mocking her by asking if those notes were meant to help. The loser Lin Xin desperately tries to get her belongings back, but the bully shoves her hard against the wall, telling her to behave. The bald sidekick flips through the notebook, laughing at the neatly organized details and snickering at the girl's useless effort. With a sneer, the bully says that trash will always be trash and no amount of help in the world will ever change that. Right after, he cruelly rips all the pages of the notebook to shreds, making the poor girl scream in total despair. Zhao Lei grabs Lin Xin's wrist forcefully and mocks her crying, saying this is what happens when you help the wrong person. In that instant of desperation, a foot steps firmly onto the torn papers on the floor, and a cold voice demands the bully let the girl go. The arrogant leader, Zhang Yang, mocks the girl's tears, brushing off the notebook she worked so hard to prepare. He boldly grabs Lin Xin's chin, remarking in a gross way that hanging out with him would bring her way more benefits. Without hesitating for a single second, the girl bites down hard on the arrogant villain's finger and tells him to get lost right now, enraged by getting bitten. The leader delivers a violent slap to Lin Xin's face that throws her hard straight onto the hallway floor. Zhao Lei finds the attack hilarious and praises his boss's strike, claiming the girl needed to learn to respect who's in charge there. Down on the floor, the young girl cries uncontrollably, remembering she spent 2 whole weeks preparing those destroyed notes for Lin Yu. Even hurt, she desperately tries to crawl to save the rest of the torn pages from the bully's hands. Zhang Yang watches the scene with complete disdain, coldly remarking that the girl simply doesn't know what's good for her. Next, he grabs the young girl by the neck mercilessly and shoves her back against the wall to keep her from moving. The villain chokes her lightly and boasts about his superior speed and strength. Claiming that resisting him is just asking to get hurt, he suddenly lets go of the girl and taunts her, saying he's going to teach her an unforgettable lesson for daring to stand up to him. The leader orders his 3 lackeys to attack the defenseless girl all at once, promising to take all the blame if she gets hurt. One of the bullies steps forward, throwing a punch toward Lin Xin, bragging that he's just following his boss's orders. Before the blow hits the girl, a firm hand appears out of nowhere and stops the attacker's fist midair with total ease. It was the MC, who appears with eyes burning in rage and asks if the 4 cowards aren't ashamed of hitting a woman. Terrified and crying, Lin Xin begs the MC not to fight them, and for both of them to just get out of there. Ignoring her plea, Lin Yu squeezes the attacker's fist so hard it breaks the guy's bones, making him scream out in agony. Zhang Yang just smirked, commenting that the MC's arrival saved him the trouble of hunting him down later. Lin Yu looks down at the floor and spots a torn piece of the notebook with an encouraging message written by the girl. With rage boiling in his chest, the guy crumples the paper and says he'll just pretend a pack of wild dogs tore up the notebook. The arrogant leader dismissively shrugs his shoulders, commenting that the MC is talking way too big for someone considered garbage. Giving no time for answers, Lin Yu rushes like lightning and delivers a devastating punch that connects flush on Zhang Yang's face. The impact sends the leader flying while the MC warns in fury that he will never forgive anyone who dares to lay a hand on Lin Xin. The villain slides across the floor dazed and wipes the blood from his face, in shock from getting hit with such speed and force, surrounded by a dark, menacing aura. Lin Yu promises to pay back double for every second of humiliation the girl suffered at their hands. The watching students panic, whispering that the MC has completely lost his mind by challenging the strongest student in school. Even hurt, Zhao Lei takes the chance to cheer his boss on from behind, shouting for him to beat the MC to a pulp. Zhang Yang stands up, unleashing his own glowing energy, and says that taking out the boy right here would be way too easy for his taste. He pulls a document from his pocket and proposes an official public duel in the school's central training field 3 days from now. The villain guarantees that if the boy wins, he will make a public apology, pay compensation, and never bother them again. He tosses the challenge form onto the floor and maliciously adds that if the MC loses, the consequences will be terrible. The defeat condition requires the boy to kneel in front of the whole school, admit he's garbage, and get expelled from the academy. Students start whispering that accepting that public challenge would be Lin Yu's total ruin and that he's digging his own grave. Lin Xin pulls on the guy's jacket crying and begs him not to accept the offer, reminding him that his sister still needs his care. Even the other students try to calm the MC down, warning that the difference in vitality levels between the two is ridiculous. Zhao Lei and his friends keep mocking, telling the boy to kneel and beg for mercy if he's scared. Ignoring everyone's warnings, Lin Yu grabs the paper and pen, stating he accepts the duel with just one special condition. The MC rests the paper on the window and writes down his demand that the entire fight be recorded and broadcast live to the whole school. With an imposing stance, he signs the official challenge document as the challenger without showing a single trace of fear. Then, he tosses the signed paper back toward the bullies and walks out of the hallway with a look of pure confidence. Later that same day, the sun begins to set over the crematory, while the big smokestacks release dark smoke into the orange sky. Inside, the MC walks to start his work, while his boss and a gigantic blonde warrior walk right behind him. Lin Yu knows he has only 3 days to train as much as possible and sharpen his fight techniques or devour new warrior souls. The guy fixes his eyes on the furnace. Aware that winning the showdown 3 days from now is his only option to protect his sister, Manager Wong informs the big guy that today's batch was sent there because Crematory 1 couldn't handle processing everything. Lin Yu overhears the conversation and gets surprised, knowing that Crematory 1 is the sector responsible for incinerating the most powerful mutant beasts. The blonde warrior flatters the boss, praising his leadership, and the old man boasts, saying he won't mistreat anyone who works hard. Suddenly, the old man changes his tone and yells at the MC to stop standing around staring into space and get to work already. Lin Yu replies that he's on his way, thinking to himself how that cranky old man can change moods so quickly and annoyingly. With a loud noise, the MC shuts the heavy metal door of the cremation room to begin his dangerous job for today in cremation room 7. The strong blonde warrior complains about the massive amount of beast carcasses he'll have to burn. Suddenly, a mysterious black smoke wraps around the man's neck by surprise, making him let out a cry of utter shock. The camouflaged monster reveals itself to be alive with red eyes and sharp teeth, rushing at the defenseless worker in extreme fury. The man screams in agony as the monster tears him apart without any mercy, splashing blood across the walls of the cremation room. Outside, the heavy door of cremation room 7 remains closed while the terrible sounds of agony echo down the hallway. Meanwhile, in cremation room 6, Lin Yu hears the muffled noise and wonders if what he heard was actually someone screaming in danger. Since silence quickly returns to the area, the MC thinks it was just a mistake and decides to get back to the hard work right away. He approaches a pile of bodies, noticing with surprise that today all the corpses sent to the sector belong to alien beasts. The guy regrets not being able to train his martial arts today, but celebrates the fact that it means fewer soldier casualties on the border. While inspecting one of the mutant creatures up close, he finds it odd as he notices the monster's tail suddenly start changing color. In a bizarre camouflage process, the monster's purple scales begin turning completely translucent right before his eyes. The guy leans his face in suspiciously to try to understand how the color of those scales is changing in such a mysterious way. Suddenly, the terrifying scaly beast opens its giant jaw packed with sharp teeth and lunges at the MC in fury. The monster swipes a swift claw, but Lin Yu reacts with fast reflexes and dodges the blow by leaping backward at the last second. The beast lands on the cold floor and activates its special ability, shrouding its body in a dark mist that makes it imperceptible. The MC stands in shock, seeing that the monster simply vanished into thin air right before his eyes without leaving a single trace. He realizes the creature didn't come out of a corpse, but rather was camouflaged as rotting tissue to trick the guards, sweat dripping. The young man realizes the monsters used this sneaky trick to successfully invade the crematory in silence. He knows very well that if he doesn't do something quick, that entire crematory will turn into a living nightmare. The boy closes his eyes and expands all his senses to the max, using his military technique bonus to detect the enemy. He focuses on the tiny noises and vibrations echoing through the dark walls of the cremation room to locate the invisible beast with a golden, killer glint in his eyes. He snaps his eyes open, absolutely sure he found the camouflaged target. Without hesitating, the MC grabs a heavy metal screwdriver that was resting on the tool table right beside him. He hurls the heavy tool with insane strength straight toward the exact spot where he felt the hidden monster's presence in the room. The tool hits the monster dead on and temporarily cancels its camouflage, forcing the angry beast to reveal itself in battle, roaring in pain. The monster leaps with its sharp claws toward the MC to take the boy's life once and for all. Lin Yu activates his mutant red claws and collides directly with the monster's attack, landing a deep slash on the creature. Even winning the initial clash, the boy gets a light scratch on his neck and desperately prays he hasn't been infected. He touches the wound and thanks his level 2 military technique for helping predict the attack trajectory, avoiding the worst. Suddenly, the crematory alarm blares, warning that invisible monsters have invaded multiple rooms and ordering everyone to flee to the shelter. The emergency message echoes everywhere, while panic spreads rapidly among the few surviving workers. Lin Yu peeks down the hall and, noticing there are no energy fluctuations nearby, decides it's safe to step out and run to the shelter, stepping into the hallway. He finds the blonde warrior dead in a pool of blood and realizes that scream earlier was indeed his. Looking at the destruction around, the MC asks himself in horror how many monsters actually manage to make it past security. Just then, Manager Wang comes running down the hallway in utter panic, closely pursued by 3 giant hungry beasts. Even though he despises that cranky old man, Lin Yu decides that saving a life is more important and prepares to face the monsters. He lands a well-aimed strike that hits one of the monsters mid-charge, buying time for the other survivors to run. A worker slides open the security shelter door and screams frantically for everyone to get inside the armored room. Right now, Manager Wang and the others sprint toward the shelter entrance while the beasts stay hot on their tails. Lin Yu runs right behind, aware that taking on so many monsters at once right now would be suicidal and that the shelter is his only salvation. But just as the MC gets close to the door, that coward Manager Wang shoves him backward with full force in a treacherous betrayal. The old man shamelessly yells that serving as bait for the beasts is the only use a weak piece of garbage like him has right now, thrown backward right in front of the hungry beasts. The MC curses in fury at that scoundrel's absurd cowardice. Using his fast reflexes, the guy rolls across the floor, dodging the monster's swipe that almost crushed his head against the ground. Inside the armored shelter, Manager Wang screams frantically to close the heavy door immediately and forget about the kid outside. Seeing the shelter entrance start to shut rapidly, the MC screams in panic for them to wait for him with a deafening slam. The heavy metal door shuts completely right in the boy's face, sealing his fate in the dark hallway. From the inside, the selfish old man says that if the kid perishes, it might actually be a good thing, since there'll be one less dead weight to worry about. Feeling fury burn in his chest, Lin Yu pounds on the metal armor and shouts for those cowards to open the darn door. All alone in the dark hallway facing the hungry beasts, the MC pounds on the closed door, realizing he was left behind to perish. Blocked outside, the MC sees 4 terrifying monsters surrounding the hallway and realizes they know how to work as a pack. With the armored door locked by the cowardly manager, Lin Yu understands that his only chance of surviving is to fight with everything he's got. The boy remembers the suffering of the frontline soldiers and how they overcome fear to face mutant beasts with their heads held high. As the heir to the power and determination of that brave fallen warrior, he vows to himself that he won't let his legacy be in vain. Above all, he remembers that his sick sister still depends on his care and swears he has zero intention of perishing in that hallway. With a roar of fury, the MC charges at the pack and starts the battle by landing a violent kick on the first creature he sees. Caught completely off guard by the boy's impressive speed, the scaly monster's eyes go wide, unable to react in time, recovering from the shock. The mutant beast roars and lunges at the boy with all its weight to try to crush him. Thanks to the upgraded level of his combat technique, Lin Yu realizes he can now clearly track his rival's energy fluctuations. He tracks every movement of his opponent, calmly, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to deliver the lethal strike. With his vision sharpened by the system, he finally identifies the exact weak point in the monster's scaly armor. He slashes with his sharp red claws right into the beast's chest, opening a fatal wound that makes blood spill onto the floor. At that instant, a second monster leaps from the shadows to catch him off guard, forcing the boy to spin around quickly. He blocks the attack and hurls the creature against the wall, repeating to himself that he needs to stay focused if he wants to make it out alive. The second monster slams hard against the concrete and falls unconscious, leaving only 2 more opponents in the hallway. The MC takes a stance with his claws glowing brightly, ready to wipe out the last 2 remaining creatures. Suddenly, one of the remaining monsters moves through the shadows at extreme speed and tries to strike the boy from behind. But the boy manages to dodge in the final split second and turns around fast to launch a swift counterattack. To his surprise, the 2 surviving monsters activate their special camouflage and completely vanish from his sight. The MC tense up, realizing the remaining beasts are way stronger and that he can't read their energy signals as easily. Knowing that any mistake here will be fatal, he keeps his guard up, certain that the invisible predators are still lurking. He takes a deep breath and tries to stay totally calm, focused solely on listening for any tiny sound that might reveal the enemy's position. The silence of the hallway is broken only by the tense sound of blood slowly dripping from the boy's claws onto the concrete floor. He zeroes in on the heavy breathing of the invisible monsters, waiting for any subtle vibration in the air to strike, with a killer glint in his eye. He smirks as he realizes he finally located the first camouflaged creature up on the ceiling. The monster pounces from the ceiling with a deadly strike, but the MC was already prepared and leaps straight at the creature. He strikes the beast right in the throat with his mutant claw, taking down another threat with an extremely precise blow. However, before he can celebrate, he feels a sinister presence suddenly manifest right behind his back. The last monster lands a cheap shot, tearing into the MC's back and left arm with its sharp claws. The boy is hurled far across the room and braces himself on the floor, groaning in pain and cursing at that cowardly creature's ambush. Even realizing his left arm is severely injured and almost unusable, he refuses to give up. The last mutant beast roars in victory, circling the injured boy, confident that its win is already locked in. The monster vanishes back into the darkness, but the MC furiously swears that this time the creature won't escape his eyes. More blood drips from the boy's injured arm, forming small puddles on the floor, but all of this is actually part of his plan. He snaps his head up and looks toward the top of the hallway, noticing that the beast is positioned right above him on the ceiling. The monster prepares to drop down on him and land the finishing blow without realizing it fell right into the boy's trap. With a taunting smirk, Lin Yu remarks that he let his own blood drip on purpose to track the invisible monster's footsteps. The beast drops down toward the MC to attack him, but the boy already knows exactly where the lethal blow is coming from. With one final roar of rage, he leaps toward the monster, concentrating all his remaining strength into his powerful right claw. He delivers a monstrous diagonal slash that splits the last mutant creature in half, ending that bloody battle once and for all. The MC lands on the floor as the monster's remains fall lifeless around him, securing an unbelievable victory. Covered in severe injuries and bleeding heavily, he tries to stay on his feet, breathing extremely heavily. The boy fights bravely to keep from losing consciousness, aware that he still needs to get out of there and find urgent medical help. Unfortunately, his strength reaches its limit, and he ends up collapsing lifelessly on the cold floor, passing out in a pool of blood. While he is unconscious, a mysterious blue energy begins rising from the defeated monsters and flowing into the boy's body. A short time later, a squad of heavily armed military hunters advances down the hallway toward the safe shelter. The squad captain spots figures on the ground and sternly orders everyone to keep their guard up due to the threat of monsters. As they illuminate the hallway with their flashlights, one of the masked soldiers stands completely shocked by the scene ahead. They come across a true carnage of dead mutant beasts, with young Lin Yu passed out right in the middle of that pool of blood. Just then, the security shelter door slowly opens, and Manager Wang peeks out terrified, asking if the monsters were wiped out. Captain Chen Zhen takes control of the situation, ordering his squad to help the survivors and investigate the area immediately. As he inspects the mutilated bodies of the beasts, the leader notes that the claw marks are way too aggressive to have been made by normal weapons. One of the soldiers yells in surprise, pointing out that the unconscious boy is still breathing, instantly catching the captain's attention. The subordinate points in horror at the MC's arm, which remains partially transformed into the terrifying mutant claw. The boy's hand is still shrouded in black smoke with sharp claws, sparking panic among the rescue soldiers in the hallway. The soldier panics, claiming the boy was corrupted, and demands they take him out right on the spot before he wakes up and turns into a full monster. The captain calls for calm, pointing out that the MC's arm is already turning back to its normal human state right before their eyes. The cowardly manager Wang steps out of the shelter, breaking into a cold sweat, and desperately insists they must finish the boy right now for safety. The old man fears the boy might survive and reveal to everyone that he was intentionally pushed to serve as bait for the hungry beasts. Having zero patience for cowards, the captain points his giant sword at the manager's neck and tells him to shut his mouth if he wants to keep breathing. Next, he analyzes the area and deduces that the MC alone managed to annihilate 4 of those elite scaly monsters. The masked soldier sweats nervously upon realizing a regular kid pulled off a feat that would give their entire squad a hard time. Manager Wang keeps shouting that a boy with such a low vitality level could only win that fight if he were corrupted. Observing the boy's now normal hand, the captain ignores the old man and wonders in amazement if the kid might actually be a legendary prodigy. He calms the squad, explaining that true corruption would be irreversible and that the young man's recovery proves he's clean-cornered and scared out of his mind. The manager stammers lame excuses, claiming he was only worried about everyone's safety. The captain decides to take the boy in for medical treatment, remarking that the military desperately needs talented warriors. Later, Lin Yu slowly wakes up in a comfortable bed to the annoying rhythmic beep of heart-monitoring equipment. Opening his eyes and looking around, the MC gets confused, realizing he's in a clean, quiet hospital room. Just then, the captain of the rescue squad approaches with a friendly smile and assures the boy that he's finally safe. Still a bit suspicious after the manager's betrayal, the guy sits up in bed and sharply asks who that man is. The man shows his digital badge and formally introduces himself as Chen Zhen, the captain of the regional cleanup squad. Surprisingly, the military leader bows and offers a sincere apology for the rescue delay that put the boy's life in danger. Lin Yu humbly accepts the apology, remarking that the beast invasion happened way too fast to be prevented. The captain praises the boy's power, highlighting that he did them a massive favor by eliminating 4 monsters, including an elite one. Taking advantage of the moment, Chen Zhen gets straight to the point and invites the MC to become an official warrior and join his squad. The guy gets extremely excited about the offer and asks in surprise if he really has a shot at joining the elite military. The captain finds the young man's over-the-top excitement odd and asks if there's a special reason why he wants to become a warrior so badly. The guy explains that he witnessed firsthand the painful sacrifice of many brave warriors who arrived lifeless to be cremated. He adds that after seeing so many recent tragic losses, he'd rather actively fight to protect others than wait around for his own end. The MC reveals that his greatest wish is to gain power so he can protect his beloved sister who remains in a deep coma. Pleased with the answer, the captain mentions that he first needs to pass the warrior selection test to make it into the squad. The military leader realizes the boy has absurd potential, combining raw physical power with the drive to sacrifice for those he loves. The guy gets a bit bummed out, remembering that the test requires a minimum vitality level of 3 points, something he doesn't have yet. To the boy's surprise, Chen Zhen hands him an official signed recommendation letter that guarantees him an immediate spot in the selection. The captain informs him with a confident smile that the selection test will start in exactly 1 month and takes his leave. He wishes him good luck and closes the room door, leaving Lin Yu alone to recover and train hard for the big day. The young man excitedly celebrates with the letter, knowing that if he becomes a warrior, he'll get access to the best medical treatments to save his sister. At that instant, the system screen pops up in front of him, notifying him that the soul of the defeated elite monster is ready to be devoured. The holographic panel displays 3 new skill options from the scaly beast for the MC to choose from and cultivate in his body. The guy rests his chin on his hand and calmly begins analyzing each of the options to make the best possible decision at the moment. He evaluates that the first option, hard scales, would grant him an insane physical defense against powerful strikes from other monsters. The second option, claw enhancement, would boost the destructive power of his short-range melee strikes even further in battle. Finally, he studies the third skill, called aura concealment, which allows him to completely hide his presence in his environment. Remembering how hard it was to locate the invisible rival, he decides to pick the incredible elite aura concealment technique. With a confident smile, the MC taps option C on the holographic panel to absorb the new stealth skill. A bright bluish energy wraps around the young man's body on the bed as the technique's data gets saved into his system. The system notifies him that he is now able to mask his presence and camouflage into the environment, making his hand completely translucent. Testing out the power for the first time, he realizes with frustration that his camouflage isn't flawless yet and will require tons of training. Even so, he smirks satisfied as he looks at his updated status panel, showing his 3 skills constantly leveling up. Since devouring souls isn't an option right now, Lin Yu decides to grind his current skills to the absolute limit to get insanely strong. He needs a super broken trick up his sleeve for the duel against that arrogant Zhang Yang. Next week, Lin Yu begins practicing aura concealment in the forest, discovering that the secret is blending into the environment rather than just turning invisible, except a little bird lands on his shoulder and ruins his disguise, making the guy realize he can't even fool the local wildlife yet. To fix this, he sits down and starts meditating to try and control his own energy like a real monster would. The training seems to pay off when he notices the range and level of his disguise are expanding in a super promising way. Back in his room, he tests the trick in front of the mirror and sees his hand is already turning pretty translucent. With half his body already invisible, he focuses even harder to make the rest vanish and master this skill once and for all. A system notification pops up confirming that his aura concealment proficiency went up by 5%. He cracks a cocky smile, seeing that he finally managed to master the trick and is ready for combat. Now Lin Yu's plan is to head straight to the arena and show Zhang Yang who the real loser of that school actually is. Meanwhile, at the Qingtang Academy arena, the crowd is already gossiping that the MC is going to get slaughtered without an ounce of mercy. In the middle of the crowd, Lin Xin is super worried because her friend went missing over the last few days and might be in danger. To make matters worse, sidekick Zhao Lei informs Zhang Yang that he set traps around the ring to guarantee their rival doesn't leave there alive today. Zhang Yang enters the arena full of swagger, engulfed in flames like he's the star of some cheap, low-budget action movie. The arrogant rich kid starts mocking, asking where that trash Lin Yu is and if he got so scared that he chickened out. One of the female teachers sighs at the situation, thinking the boy doesn't know his place and will definitely end up expelled from the academy. Suddenly, a massive boom echoes through the venue. Catching the attention of everyone waiting for the slaughter to begin, Lin Yu emerges walking calmly with a wind aura swirling around him, making it crystal clear that the real show is about to start. Stepping onto the ring, he instantly spots that the color of the floor around the edges looks really off, realizing something fishy is going on. Zhang Yang taunts his rival, saying he thought he had run away out of fear at the last minute like the coward he's always been, except Lin Yu just smirks and tells the rich kid to start thinking about how he's going to kneel and apologize after he loses. Pissed off by the nerve, Zhang Yang charges full force, screaming for the MC to go straight to heck while winding up a punch. The bully throws a powerful strike, but Lin Yu dodges with impressive ease, catching his rival completely off guard. With anger rising, Zhang Yang says he wants to see how long the boy can keep running away from his attacks. An insane volley of punches begins, and the MC keeps dodging every single one as if he were just gliding across the floor. In the stands, sidekick Zhao Lei cheers hyped up for his boss to finish off the loser for good and show the huge gap in their levels. While dodging, Lin Yu intentionally steps right onto one of the tampered floor tiles that the sidekick had set up, thinking he cornered his rival. Zhang Yang celebrates, yelling that he has nowhere left to run now. The rich kid channels all his firepower into his fist to land a devastating finishing blow and end the fight in one shot. He swings the fiery punch with all the force in the world, believing he's about to send his opponent straight to the hospital. Except Lin Yu just pulls a smirking face and mentions he was waiting for this exact moment of open guard. In a split second, the MC activates stealth and completely vanishes into thin air, making his rival's punch strike nothingness. Lin Xin stands shocked and cheers in joy. Realizing her friend had an insanely broken trick up his sleeve for the fight, Zhang Yang goes ballistic, shouting that this is nothing more than a cheap magic trick that won't do him any good. He starts throwing desperate, wild swings at the air, screaming for the MC to show himself and fight like a real man. Out of nowhere, Lin Yu reappears, landing a clean hit that makes the rich kid yell in pain, caught completely off guard. Clutching his injured, bleeding shoulder, Zhang Yang loses his mind completely and vows he will destroy the MC right then and there. In panic, the villain orders his sidekick to activate the arena's hidden traps to force his rival out of hiding. Several massive fire pillars erupt from the ground, covering almost the entire fighting stage, surrounded by flames. Zhang Yang dares Lin Yu to try and escape now that the whole arena has turned into a total barbecue pit. The teacher shouts, ordering the fight to be stopped immediately because that nonsense completely violates the duel rules. Except the spoiled rich kid doesn't give a hoot and replies dismissively that he makes the rules inside that school. With the heat outlining the stealth silhouette, Zhang Yang finally manages to spot the MC's location. With a crazy grin plastered on his face, the villain yells out loud that he finally found his target. Lin Yu dodges by leaping backward, while the floor gets demolished by the wild opponent's brutal attack. He realizes he can't win through pure brute force alone, needing to focus on finding a weakness before counterattacking. But Zhang Yang gives no breather and charges forward again, his body completely clad in glowing blue energy armor. Lin Yu analyzes the energy flow and realizes he needs to find the core power source to cut off the flow and disarm his rival. With a core glowing bright on his chest and an insane smile, the rich kid gets ready to unload all his remaining power. Lin Yu zeroes his attention on his opponent's chest and notices that the core point of all that insane energy is located right in his dantian. Zhang Yang tries to throw another devastating punch, but the MC uses his aura concealment again and vanishes into thin air right at the moment of impact. The rich kid's eyes go wide, unable to comprehend how his rival managed to vanish before him once more in the blink of an eye. Totally out of control, the villain starts screaming insults, calling his opponent cowardly garbage who only knows how to use dirty tricks to fight. Except Lin Yu's answer comes right after, in the form of sharp claws slicing through the air straight toward the arrogant rich kid. The attack from the red claws lands flush against Zhang Yang's glowing barrier with a deafening metallic clash. The MC gets surprised upon realizing his sharp claws can't pierce through that energy armor at all. Zhang Yang lets out a wicked laugh, boasting that his defense is legendary tier and that no weak trick is going to hurt him. Lin Yu backs off a bit to recalculate his strategy while deciding to test the true durability of that glowing barrier. He realizes he can leave scratches on the barrier and decides to focus on direct impact strikes using his military martial arts. On the other side, the rich kid tries to stay calm to watch his opponent's movements and find an opening to finish the fight for good. Just then, the MC leaps high into the air, getting ready to bring down a downward strike with all his accumulated power. He lands a heavy punch right in the middle of the villain's defense, making the impact echo throughout the entire battle arena. Zhang Yang just mocks the strike's power, saying Lin Yu's punch is so weak it feels like he didn't even eat lunch today. Ignoring the taunts, the MC keeps pressuring his opponent with a rapid combo of high kicks. At that moment, the villain feels a light energy flicker coming from the barrier and starts getting worried about the situation. With his sharp gaze, Lin Yu finally manages to pinpoint the exact weak spot in his rival's energy circulation. Wasting no time, the MC rushes straight at the opening in the defense to shatter the glowing armor once and for all. The rich kid still tries to mock the rank A defense, but ends up getting hit flush and thrown back by the brutal impact. Even with his opponent knocked back, Lin Yu gets ready to strike again with all the determination in the world. He lands another clean hit right on the weakened area of the protective barrier, which begins to fail under so much pressure. The blue crystal armor starts cracking violently under the devastating force of the MC's fist. Desperate, Zhang Yang tries to swing back, channeling his dark energy into a straight punch aimed right at his opponent's face. The rich kid manages to grab Lin Yu's arm tightly and pulls a cruel grin, thinking he finally captured his opponent. He screams that the MC's silly tricks end right here and tells the boy to go straight to heck, except Lin Yu stays completely composed, relying on the attack prediction of his military martial arts to take the blow. The villain lands a straight punch right on the MC's face, but the impact isn't enough to bring him down. With the blow landed, the hero realizes that's the perfect opportunity he'd been waiting for to finish the fight. He uses his red claws and strikes the barrier's weak spot with surgical precision, shattering his opponent's defense. The blue crystal armor breaks down completely, leaving the rich kid totally exposed and in a state of shock. Completely pissed off, Zhang Yang complains that his rival only knows how to fight using surprise attacks and that cowards shouldn't be warriors. Just then, Lin Yu decides to deactivate his stealth for good and impressively announces he won't be using sneak attacks anymore from here on out. He extends his giant claw and proposes settling that whole clash in just one final move. The villain laughs, recalling that those broken claws couldn't even scratch his defense earlier. The hero just charges full force with both claws ready to strike, replying, "They'll only know if they try again." The rich kid leaps, throwing a kick loaded with lethal force, screaming that the hit will send his opponent straight out of the school. The two collide in midair in a violent clash of energy that makes the ring shake from the force of the impact. Using movement prediction, the MC dodges the lethal strike and digs his sharp claws right into his opponent's chest. Zhang Yang makes a face of pure agony and terror as he realizes his strongest hit was completely outmatched. The remains of the crystal armor break for good, while the villain completely loses his strength in the middle of the ring. The rich kid lets out a desperate cry of pain before collapsing onto the floor, completely defeated and humiliated. On his knees and spitting blood, the villain refuses to accept that he actually lost to someone he always viewed as trash. Lin Yu stands tall, looking down at his fallen opponent, and coldly warns him that he's nothing special either. The spoiled boy looks at the hero with an expression of pure terror and despair, unable to utter another single word. With his job done, the MC turns his back and walks away smoothly, while his rival passes out cold on the ring floor. The crowd goes dead silent in complete shock, and sidekick Zhao Lei starts breaking into a cold sweat, seeing his boss defeated like that. In the middle of the crowd, Lin Xin celebrates tearfully with a massive smile on her face, knowing her friend pulled off the win. Up in the VIP booths, Zhang Yang's father, who is also the school principal, fumes in rage, seeing his own son's public humiliation. The academy coordinator tries to calm his boss down, promising to closely investigate the non-traditional methods the MC used during the fight. The principal agrees with a dark glare, stating that anyone who breaks the school rules will have to pay a very heavy price. The school coordinator assures the principal that he will handle the situation and bring a very satisfactory result to punish the MC. Meanwhile, the academy principal thinks to himself that cheeky boy is going to bitterly regret messing with his family. Suddenly, Lin Yu is interrupted by the notification beeps from his watch and gets curious to see what's going on. He sees a message from Captain Chen informing him that starting today he will be working at Crematory No. 1, handling some pretty dangerous remains. The boy gets excited because this elite crematory pays way better and allows him to absorb much stronger souls to level up his skills. Since it's still early for his shift to start, he decides to drop by the city hospital real quick to visit his beloved older sister. His destination is the Central City Hospital, where people infected by alien contamination receive the best possible treatments. He arrives at the room and stands staring at the life support capsule where his sister is kept asleep in a deep coma. An image shows the girl floating in the blue solution, completely wrapped in medical bandages to contain the spread of contamination in her body. Lin Yu places his hand on the glass with sadness and whispers softly, letting her know he's finally there to visit her. Just then, he remembers his childhood when other kids used to mock him for having a vitality score worse than a dog's. Except his sister would always show up like a real mama bear to scare off the bullies and make sure nobody laid a finger on him. She would pound her chest and warn the boys that she wouldn't tolerate any gossip or taunts against her sweet little brother after chasing off the bullies. She would hand little Lin Yu a lollipop and tell him affectionately that he was the best boy in the world. Back to the present, the MC vows to himself that he will find a cure for her no matter what, as a way to return all that protection. At that moment, a doctor enters the room and lets him know they need to have a serious talk about the girl's current health condition. Lin Yu turns around concerned and asks the specialist to go ahead and tell the whole truth without hiding a single thing. The doctor explains that the illness was caused by polluted food, and the current capsule can only keep her most basic vital signs running. To make matters worse, the pollution has escalated drastically and has already begun invading the young girl's internal organs, giving her 6 months to live at most. The hero panics, asking how the situation changed so fast when her state was always under control with the old medications. The doctor explains that long-term use of the meds caused the girl's body to build up a very high tolerance to the chemical compounds. Desperate, the young man asks if there's any alternative method, because he's willing to make any sacrifice to save her. The specialist says there actually is a solution, but given the current reality of things, it's something practically impossible to get. He reveals that the legendary Sunstone could contain the pollution in her body, but that object is considered a closely guarded national treasure. The doctor adds that the government didn't even release the stone back when she was the country's top prodigy, so they definitely wouldn't release it. Now Lin Yu finds this story very sketchy and starts questioning why the government itself refused to help his sister in the past. But regardless of the reason or difficulty, the guy decides he will find a way to get that stone no matter what to save his sister. Later, the MC finally arrives at the imposing Crematory No. 1 during sunset to start his new work shift. He walks toward the mysterious Room 3, where the most dangerous and heavily contaminated bodies are usually stored for incineration. He thinks that he needs to get stronger as soon as possible to gain access to the Sunstone, which is under strict government control. Upon stepping inside, he gets surprised to see only human bodies of soldiers and doctors in there, realizing the war is getting worse. Polite as always, he folds his hands and respectfully asks for permission from the 3 deceased warriors resting on the gurneys. Suddenly, a sinister dark mist begins rising from one of the bodies, and the corpse simply sits right up on the gurney out of nowhere. The dead warrior stands up, completely transformed into a terrifying monster with sharp teeth and eyes glowing a blood-red hue. The MC leaps backward, terrified by that bizarre reaction from a corpse that was supposed to be resting in peace. He activates his senses and realizes with gravity that he is facing a dangerous corpse mutation caused by excessive pollution. The monster lets out a terrifying roar and leaps toward the MC to tear him apart with claws covered in black energy. The creature delivers a powerful vertical swipe that slices through the air right where the guy was standing seconds ago. Lin Yu uses his enhanced reflexes to dodge the devastating attack while trying to analyze his opponent's movement pattern. He realizes in horror that that brave frontline soldier ended up turning into a fearsome returned due to the infection. The mutant creature keeps growling like a wild animal as the dark energy consumes the little that was left of its former humanity. The MC deeply grieves the situation, knowing that a war hero ended up suffering such a cruel fate after his passing. After all, that man sacrificed his own life to protect the country and fought bravely at the borders until his final breath. But the zombie doesn't care about feelings and rushes forward again at insane speed to try to bite Lin Yu's neck. The two trade heavy blows, and the guy feels the brutal physical strength that the alien contamination gave to that lifeless body. He notices the enemy's fighting style is based on military martial arts and realizes it's attacking solely using muscle memory. Since military routines are fixed, the MC calculates that the zombie's next move will be a straight right punch. Sure enough, the returned lunges forward, trying to land a crushing punch with all the physical strength it still holds in its body. Thanks to the attack prediction of his fight techniques, Lin Yu ducks with surgical precision, making the attack hit empty air. Taking advantage of the opponent's off-balance posture as it leaned forward, he lands a sweet counter kick right in the middle of its chest. The MC realizes his opponent is completely wide open and shouts that now is his big chance to finish the fight. He charges forward fast and lands a devastating punch on the returned's back, putting his entire body weight into the impact. The hit is so strong that it creates a giant shockwave, slamming the mutant soldier violently against the room floor. Standing over his fallen opponent, Lin Yu silently apologizes for having to fight someone who should be resting. Except the battle isn't over yet, as the opponent's body begins popping in a weird way while pouring out even more black smoke. The corpse undergoes a second bizarre mutation, and its body begins growing out of control in the middle of all that dark energy. The boy leaps back, terrified, unable to comprehend what kind of monstrosity is rising right before his eyes. The mist clears, revealing a muscular giant with demonic features and massive claws, ready to crush everything in its path. Lin Yu stands in shock, realizing that brave border soldier completely turned into a wild monster. The giant throws a crushing punch, and the MC is forced to defend by crossing his arms while the impact demolishes the floor. He feels the pressure of the blow and notes that the strength and speed of that monster are on a completely different level than before. The beast gives no time to breathe and begins attacking frantically, using its gigantic claws to corner the boy. The hero ducks quickly to dodge a horizontal slash that grazes by, almost taking his head off. Out of nowhere, the monster's chest snaps open, revealing a second mouth packed with sharp teeth, trying to swallow the MC alive in an impressive acrobatic dodge. He manages to evade that bizarre bite at the last possible second. The impact of the creature's missed attack blows a huge crater in the floor and scatters tile pieces all over the locked room. Dust rises while the surrounding area gets completely demolished by the blind rage of that mutant monstrosity. Leaning against the cracked wall, the young man realizes the creature completely shifted its attack patterns and now acts like a wild beast. Just then, he remembers the heroic speeches of the soldiers who gave their lives at the border to protect people from that contamination. The boy reflects on the true meaning of being a warrior and how noble those men were before getting corrupted. He realizes he hesitated to use his full power because subconsciously he still saw that monster as the brave soldier he once was, looking at his opponent. He knows very well that turning into a hideous monster was never the intention of that fallen war hero. With a serious look full of resolve, Lin Yu vows to help the warrior finally rest in peace by freeing him from the pain. Using his focused vision, the MC pinpoints the enemy's weak spot glowing brightly, right in the middle of its chest. He builds momentum and sprints at high speed toward the giant, leaving a trail of destruction on the floor with his firm footsteps. The boy slickly dodges an enemy swipe and readies his powerful red claw to land the final strike on the creature's heart. As he dashes past the monster, he whispers a wish for the soldier to finally find his peace after so much suffering on the border. With a precise movement, he digs his sharp claws straight into the monster's chest, destroying the glowing core once and for all. The giant cracks all over as an immense amount of dark smoke begins leaking out from its shattered chest. He finishes by knocking his opponent to the floor while the system notifies him that his military martial arts have been upgraded to intermediate level. The hero sadly remarks that if the soldier were still conscious, he would never have stood a chance against someone that strong. Except suddenly, the dark contamination smoke from the corpse begins spreading rapidly throughout the locked room. The black toxic mist fills the area at an insane speed, threatening to suffocate the boy in a matter of seconds. Lin Yu covers his nose, terrified, realizing that heavy contamination mist could infect him at any second. He runs to try and open the door, only to discover it only unlocks if triggered simultaneously from inside and outside the room. Trapped in there, he knows full well that the effects of that contamination on the human body are completely irreversible. Despair hits hard as he realizes that if he keeps breathing that toxic air, he'll also end up turning into a returned. The dark smoke completely wraps around the MC's body in a terrifying whirlwind while he tries to resist. He closes his eyes, waiting for the worst, repeating to himself that he absolutely cannot let himself get corrupted by the infection. Opening his eyes, he gets confused, realizing he suffered 0 damage and that the toxic smoke didn't infect him in any way. Just then, he looks to the side, surprised, noticing something very weird is happening right near him in the room. All the dark contamination mist is getting pulled at high speed toward the chest of another corpse in a lab coat lying on the table. Lin Yu takes a defensive stance, praying that this second body doesn't also start undergoing a bizarre mutation and try to attack him. He waits for the worst for a few seconds, but notices the body remains completely still on top of the metal table. Curious, the boy cautiously approaches and pokes the corpse to be absolutely sure it won't stand up out of nowhere. That's when he notices that all the black smoke is getting sucked directly into a glowing pendant around the man's neck. The boy's eyes go wide in shock, seeing that small amulet possesses the unbelievable power to devour contamination. He instantly recalls the doctor's words saying his sister's health condition was caused by contaminated food. He also remembers the doctor mentioned that a legendary sunstone would be able to suppress the contamination in her body. Looking closely at the golden glow of the jewel absorbing the toxic mist, he wonders if that pendant might actually be the sunstone itself. The guy grabs the glowing pendant off the doctor's neck and feels extremely relieved, knowing his sister finally has a chance at salvation. He grins from ear to ear, holding the precious jewel, already starting to picture his sister waking up from that terrible coma. Suddenly, a loud noise coming from the room's entrance puts the guy on high alert to ensure no other return shows up to ruin things. Quickly, he places the doctor's body back in position and apologizes for the lack of manners before starting the cremation process. The doctor's corpse is engulfed in intense flames inside the crematory furnace, beginning the soul purification ritual. A dark, glowing, spiritual energy floats out of the chamber and begins hovering around the MC's body. The essence of the doctor's soul enters straight into Lin Yu's forehead, allowing him to absorb all the memories and knowledge of the deceased. He enters a flashback and sees young Dr. Yang Junlong happily celebrating getting accepted into the prestigious medical university. Next, he appears researching potions in a lab with the noble goal of creating way more efficient meds to help the soldiers. The university dean places his hand on the young man's shoulder, letting him know he is his last disciple and will one day inherit the position of dean. Except the doctor decides to pass up the prestigious position to head straight to the frontline battlefield, where soldiers need medical help the most. On the battlefield, he presents the injured warriors with a new potion named Vigil, capable of restoring energy and bringing back maximum strength. But the doctor's look shifts to extreme seriousness as he prepares to reveal the terrible price of that formula. He opens a briefcase with glowing vials and explains that the side effect is that the user perishes instantly after 10 minutes of use. Even knowing the lethal danger, the heroes drink the potion without hesitation to be able to fight and guarantee the country's protection for a few more minutes. The buffed soldiers charge bravely against a gigantic horde of alien monsters under the watchful, sad gaze of the young scientist. Seeing those men sacrifice, the doctor goes back to his research, focused on tweaking the formula to remove the deadly side effects. After tons of effort, he finally succeeds in creating the ultimate formula for a legendary potion known as Life Succubus. Lin Yu absorbs all this knowledge and realizes that just one sip of that legendary potion is capable of granting monstrous vitality to the user. The system activates, and the boy selects the potion mastery option to officially inherit all the pharmaceutical knowledge of the deceased doctor. The panel confirms he acquired the passive skill at expert level. Unlocking the recipes for the most powerful potions in the world, Lin Yu sits to meditate and realizes that with that pendant and the potion knowledge, he finally has everything he needs to save his sister. With the plan set, he returns to the Central City Hospital the next day to put his grand strategy into action once and for all. In his sister's room, the monitor shows her contamination rate has already hit 75%, pushing the situation to the brink. Disguised in a hoodie, the MC looks worriedly at the numbers on the monitor, knowing her time is running out fast. He stares at the young girl floating in the capsule and takes a deep breath as he gets ready to perform the risky rescue procedure. The guy opens a slot on the capsule and lets the mysterious pendant drop into the water so it can act directly on his sister's body. He watches the jewel slowly sink toward the girl, knowing very well that he doesn't have a single second to waste from here on out. He adjusts the gold necklace around her neck to ensure the stone's absorption power stays as close to the young girl's chest as possible. The hero tries to keep calm, telling himself the sunstone might take a little time to start taking effect and purify her blood, except time keeps ticking away, and minutes pass on the clock while the contamination level remains stuck at the exact same value. Lin Yu starts breaking into a cold sweat upon realizing the infection rate hasn't dropped even a bit, wondering if the stone ended up failing the mission. He steps back tense while watching bubbles rise in the life support capsule without showing any noticeable improvement in her condition. Leaning against the glass, he questions if the stone is working too slowly or if the infection level is already too deep for the necklace to fix. Either way, he decides he needs to gather the ingredients and brew the Life Succubus potion as fast as possible to guarantee the cure. Later, he appears crouched at the top of a cliff during the night, focused on harvesting the rare plant while the area's guardian sleeps. Right below him, a giant blue snake is coiled up sleeping peacefully right beside a mysterious, bright red plant. He pulls a confident smile seeing the glowing herb right there within reach and prepares to sneak down to make the harvest. Except as soon as he reaches out his hand to grab the plant, the colossal snake snaps its glowing red eyes open and zeroes in directly on him. The boy senses the impending danger and goes on high alert upon noticing the giant monster woke up way earlier than expected. The snake attacks full force, shattering surrounding rocks, but the MC uses his military movement prediction to dodge the pounce. The monster lets out a piercing roar and destroys the surrounding area with the strength of its massive, scaly body in the middle of the night. Even amid that chaotic mess of attacks, Lin Yu leaps toward the cliffside, focused purely on laying his hands on the glowing plant. With great agility, the guy manages to grab the valuable red herb tightly and celebrates securing the main ingredient. But the giant snake doesn't give up and lunges again with its jaws wide open to try to swallow the intruder once and for all. Fortunately, the boy is way too fast, and the colossal monster bites only air, smashing another chunk of rock with the force of the impact. The creature raises its head annoyed and starts looking around with its glowing red eyes. Searching for the noisy enemy hidden behind a large boulder, Lin Yu watches the monster's behavior closely to cook up a safe escape route. He analyzes the speed of the pounce and notices the snake's reaction is way slower than expected, indicating something is wrong with it. The MC keeps monitoring the colossal serpent's sluggish movements under the moonlight, waiting for the right moment to get out of there. The guy realizes the giant monster is in the middle of shedding its skin, which explains the unusual slowness of its movements. The colossal serpent roars and crushes an abandoned car right near where the MC was trying to hide. Lin Yu realizes startled that the heat radiating from his own body ended up exposing his exact location to the monster. Holding the harvested herb, he knows that continuing to run in the open field would be a death sentence against such a fast opponent. The giant snake strikes down from above in fury, but the boy manages to dodge by sliding across the ground right at the moment of impact. He realizes doing the opposite of expected and sprinting toward the ruined buildings is his only real shot at survival. The hero sprints at high speed into a narrow, destroyed alleyway. In an attempt to throw off the colossal creature, he plans to use the narrow width of that alleyway to severely limit the movement and attacks of the gigantic serpent. The monster tries to force its way in, smashing the building walls with its head in an extremely loud and violent impact. Seeing that the strategy worked perfectly and the enemy got jammed, Lin Yu lets out a super-confident smirk. The serpent gets stuck between the tight concrete walls and starts gnashing its teeth in sheer anger for failing to advance. The boy turns around with resolve and challenges the monster, stating it's time to settle that dispute once and for all. The colossal creature keeps forcing its way through, tearing its own body against the rubble in a desperate attempt to reach him. The monster snaps its giant mouth open, letting out a terrifying roar right in front of the MC, who stays firmly in position. He mockingly admits he wasn't running away out of fear, but rather because he was looking for the best moment to take down the beast. The colossal creature roars again as it tries to thrash every which way to free itself from that tight stone alleyway. The MC gets ready, focusing all his energy and activating his powerful red combat claws for the final blow. He leaps full force toward the enemy's head, taking advantage of the fact that its new skin is still soft due to the recent shed. The young man aims straight for the monster's vital spots, knowing the lack of hard scales leaves its head extremely vulnerable with a devastating downward slash. He drives his sharp claws with immense force directly into the colossal snake's skull. The beast lets out one final screech of intense pain as the strike tears through its head, ending the terrifying night battle for good. The giant snake's glowing red eyes slowly fade as venom and life leave its body. The guy executes a final slash motion and pushes off the lifeless body of the creature, which collapses heavily onto the dusty ground. The massive corpse of the colossal serpent falls completely motionless among the building ruins, and silence finally returns to the area Lin Yu celebrates, feeling pretty proud of taking down a beast of that level all by himself without help from anyone. Right after, the system notifies him that his sharp claws proficiency went up by 5%, hitting 95% total. He grows thoughtful, wondering what new powers and special effects will unlock once he manages to level up that skill. The scene shifts to the next day outside Tongxinda Pharmacy, where the MC continues searching for a spot for his potions. He thinks that with the recipe and ingredients in hand, he just needs to find an available lab to craft the soaring dragon potion. Except the shop clerk gives him an earful, saying lab equipment is way too expensive and that the boy must be out of his mind. The young man walks out pretty frustrated, complaining that there's no way he can't find a single decent lab to rent in the city. Crouched on the sidewalk, he sighs, remembering that the deceased doctor had his own private lab and that he's getting distracted by someone else's memories. Walking down the street, he considers buying his own chemistry equipment, but gives up upon remembering the cost would run into thousands of coins. Suddenly, a strange, squeaking door sound catches the hero's attention while he was distracted by his financial thoughts. He looks at an old traditional pharmacy named Xingshan Hall and feels like he's heard that familiar name somewhere before. The boy peeks through the open door, wondering if that place also functions as a traditional herbal pharmacy. He decides to step inside to try one last time. After all, he has absolutely nothing to lose by testing his luck in there. Upon walking in, he finds the clerk playing video games on his phone and shouting frantically at his online teammates. The MC gets a sweat drop on his head, realizing the clerk is so hooked he didn't even notice a customer in the shop. Lacking patience, Lin Yu slams a stack of cash onto the counter and asks straight up if their traditional pharmacy has a potion prep room. The clerk finally takes his eyes off the phone screen and suspiciously asks why the boy is interested in that specific room. The hero displays the wad of cash in his hand and offers 1,000 coins for the guy to rent him the alchemy room for a short period. The worker plays hard to get, complaining about the nerve and asking who the boy thinks he is to demand access to a restricted area like that. Except Lin Yu starts walking toward the exit and tosses a 2,000 coin offer on the table, making the clerk instantly tell him to hold up. The clerk changes his attitude immediately and snatches the cash with a huge smile on his face, accepting the generous offer without thinking twice. He grabs the keyring from his pocket and nods his head, signaling for the hero to follow him to the back of the old traditional shop. The worker smirks greedily, thinking he can just wipe the security camera footage later, and nobody will ever find out about his little scheme. He unlocks the prep room door and bluntly warns that the boy has 2 hours max to finish whatever he needs and get out. The shifty clerk also demands that everything be cleaned and put back in its exact spot, making it clear he won't refund a single cent of the money. The hero enters the spacious room filled with expensive equipment and tells the guy to forget the threats and go back to his phone game. Stepping into the lab, Lin Yu realizes the equipment is state-of-the-art and that those 2,000 coins were the best investment he could have made. He spots a pink protective lab coat hanging on a rack and deduces the real owner of that lab must be a pretty neat woman. The guy slips on the lab coat quickly, knowing the arrogant clerk pulled off the scheme on the down low and that it would be a huge problem if the real owner showed up. He positions himself at the workbench, thinking the crucial first step is to extract and concentrate the magic properties of that rare herb. Wasting no time, the MC places the glowing red plant inside the high-tech alchemy blender to start the extraction. He hits the power button, and the machine starts grinding the magic herb with a steady high-speed processing hum. Sometime later, the hero has already managed to prepare 3 jars filled with steaming liquids of different colors to begin the mixing process. Following the deceased doctor's recipe to the letter, he starts measuring and mixing each of the elements with extreme chemical precision. The components react with one another, and the mixture morphs into a bubbling golden liquid with a super promising appearance. Suddenly, the solution starts giving off weird black smoke, and the MC realizes the chemical reaction is spiraling completely out of control. The vial explodes all at once, scattering glass shards and boiling liquid all over the lab workbench. The guy shields himself from the blast and stands questioning with major frustration if his first brewing attempt ended up a total flop. He inspects the ruined table and notices the spilled golden liquid started boiling in a strange way amid the glass shards. The MC notices with relief that the potion started solidifying rapidly on the floor, showing the experiment actually went super right. He collects the solidified essence and carefully splits it into 4 test vials containing exactly 50 milliliters of potion each. To be absolutely sure about the compound's safety, he decides to drink one of the vials to test the potion's side effects on himself first. The boy makes a face of total disgust upon noticing the taste of that formula is simply awful and almost impossible to stomach. Except the very next second, his eyes go wide as he feels a violent surge of hot energy racing through every vein in his body. A massive aura of dark red energy erupts around the MC, shaking the whole lab with wind pressure. Lin Yu stands in awe upon realizing the main function of that potion isn't just granting basic vitality energy to whoever drinks it. The compound actually mobilizes and refines all the accumulated, undigested energy inside the body to perform a flawless secondary absorption. Time passes on the desk clock, while the guy quietly continues absorbing that insane amount of concentrated power. After completing the entire absorption process, the hero slowly exhales with an indescribable feeling of lightness and physical vigor in his body. He concludes impressed that the potency of the Soaring Dragon potion is 20 times greater than any other booster on the market. The boy flexes his muscles, feeling his physical potential and growth ceiling have been expanded to an utterly mind-blowing level. He knows the formula created by the deceased doctor is revolutionary, and if exposed, it would rewrite the military future of the entire country. Except he's still way too weak, and revealing this secret now would only result in the government using him as a mere test pawn in the war. As he packs his stuff to leave, he hears the shop name again and remembers a crucial piece of information about that place. The guy recalls that one of the brave soldiers he cremated belonged precisely to the traditional family that owned Jingshan Hall. He finds it weird that such an important store, which should be managed by the soldier's talented younger sister, is completely deserted. Staring at one of the golden vials on the desk, he thinks that since fate brought him to this place, he should do something about it. In a generous spirit, the MC decides to leave one of the valuable potion vials on the counter as a way to pay for using the space. After tidying everything up, he steps out of the alchemy room, letting the clerk know he finished the job and is leaving the pharmacy. The worker runs after him, holding his phone, super politely asking for the boy's contact number in case he needs to rent the room again. The MC shrugs casually and answers. He sees no problem with handing over his personal contact to the guy. Outside, a beautiful woman with long hair and fancy clothes steps out of an imported car, lamenting that her potion research failed. Walking into the shop with a moody look, she gets greeted with major kiss-up energy by the scared clerk trying to hide what he did. Except upon stepping into the lab, the young owner of Xingshan Hall spots the mysterious golden vial on the table and grows super intrigued. She holds the potion angrily upon realizing her pharmacy's dumb clerk broke the strict rules and let a total stranger into the room. The girl ignores the worker's excuses for a moment and decides to run chemical tests on that mysterious potion with her equipment. 10 minutes later, she comes rushing out of the lab furious, yelling the clerk's name and demanding to know who brewed that potion today. She grabs the guy by the collar, ordering him to find the mysterious alchemist immediately, while the trembling worker says he has his number. The clerk tries calling right away, but the cell carrier announces that the dialed number is completely turned off. The girl demands he keep trying non-stop and promises an absurd cash reward if he manages to bring that master back. The scene shifts to the city's bustling black market, a place packed with dark alleys where people usually trade super sketchy items. A sign at the entrance of one of the stalls advertises the sale of an invincible booster potion for the absurd price of 500,000 coins a bottle. Sitting calmly on the ground in a hoodie, the MC waits patiently until some brave buyer decides to show up at his stall. People on the street start laughing at the sign and whispering that hideous green potion must be just a fake scam to fool suckers. The guy just thinks to himself that if he weren't so deep in debt with his sister's medical expenses, he would never sell such a perfect compound. Suddenly, a rich man named Kao-kun arrives at the scene in a luxury car. Surrounded by several grim-looking bodyguards, Kao-kun's blonde sidekick points to the crowd around Lin Yu's stall and suggests they take a look to see if there's anything interesting. The blonde sidekick starts roughly shoving pedestrians out of the way, clearing a path for his young master to pass without getting bothered. Kao-kun reads the sign advertising the potion with major curiosity, finding it pretty peculiar that the price doubles when buying a second unit. The spoiled, rich kid picks up the potion bottle with a mocking smile, remarking that money is no issue for him and that he wants to see results. But before he can buy it, a massive, muscular man appears out of nowhere, calling the young master a plant hired by the stall owner. The brute laughs, saying he's been frequenting the black market for 5 years and has seen this fake plant trick to fool suckers 1,000 times. The young man gets angry, revealing he's the young master of Minghai Pharmacy, while his blonde henchman adds that his family is the biggest in the region. The giant slams his massive battle axe onto the ground, cracking the stones, and proposes a bold bet worth 200,000 coins if the potion is fake. Kao-kun gets terrified seeing the giant axe blade so close to his face and starts stammering, trying to back out of the purchase. The rich kid tries to take a step back, sweating in fear, while the tension between the three men keeps rising in the middle of the black market. Except out of nowhere, the hooded MC leaps forward, landing an insanely fast, powerful punch that knocks the muscular giant straight to the ground. Lin Yu stands with his red claws activated, radiating a dark, intimidating aura that leaves everyone around in total silence. He steps heavily onto the bully's chest, sinking the man's body into the stone floor, which cracks completely from the impact. The hero looks down at the terrified giant and coldly warns that if he's not buying anything, he'd better stay quiet in his corner. Kao-kun watches the scene in complete shock, asking himself if that monstrous physical strength is the actual result of taking the vitality potion. Amazed by the compound's power, the rich kid makes the transfer of 500,000 coins on the spot and guarantees he'll take the golden vial. Before he drinks, the blonde sidekick loyally tries to step in, suggesting he take a sip first to ensure the mysterious potion isn't poisoned, but Kao-kun tells the henchman to stop acting silly and decides to chug the entire $1,000,000 potion at once to feel the effects immediately. The MC watches calmly and warns the buyer that for the potion to work, he'll have to endure physical pain way beyond the norm. The rich kid empties the golden vial and tosses it onto the stone floor, where the glass dramatically shatters into glowing pieces. Right after, the young master drops to his knees, screaming in intense pain as veins of dark red energy bulge all over his body. The henchmen panic completely, with the blonde trying to help the boss and the guy with glasses threatening to take out the hero if anything bad happens. The MC just starts walking away smoothly, commenting that if the guy is strong enough to handle it, he'll be fine. Kao-kun sits in a lotus position and begins channeling the potion's energy using his family's secret body refinement technique. He grits his teeth in pain and stays focused on enduring the infernal heat that is cleansing all impurities from his body's veins. Half an hour later, the young man snaps his glowing eyes open and celebrates ecstatically upon noticing his vitality score finally surpassed level 10. Completely blown away by the miraculous result, he runs back to the stall shouting that he wants to buy out all the remaining potion stock, except the MC holds up a finger and warns that the price for the second unit doubled to 1 million coins and that the limit is 1 dose per month. The transfer goes through and the surrounding crowd goes wild, commenting that the potion actually works and that the hooded guy is a legendary master. The now buffed rich kid turns to the muscular giant and commands him to keep his end of the bet and kneel to apologize. The brute doesn't think twice and slams his forehead to the ground, desperately begging forgiveness for failing to recognize the young master's greatness. Meanwhile, Lin Yu packs up his things, thinking that if he hurries, he'll make it to the hospital in time to pay his sister's monthly bill. But before he can walk away, Sao-kun yells from a distance, begging the mysterious alchemist to wait just a moment longer. The rich kid approaches with major respect and offers a special consultant position at his family's company for whatever salary the hero wants to charge. The MC rejects the offer flat out, coldly replying that he's a free spirit and hates being tied down to any corporate gig. Cao-kun doesn't back off and suggests a partnership where the hero supplies just the recipe and his family handles mass production with his father's backing. Lin Yu thinks he needs rare ingredients to brew the life succubus potion, and that leveraging the rich family's influence would be a perfect shortcut. He pauses and says that if the rich kid can source 5 specific medicinal herbs, he'll consider the business partnership proposal. The hero lists them off: purple cloud lotus, ice soul herb, radiant leaf fruit, dragon whisker vine, and earth dragon essence. The blonde henchman remarks that one of the items is a specialty from another city, and Cao-kun playfully slaps him on the head for randomly acting smart. The henchman asks if the master doesn't know that official warriors have free access to the association's database, and the MC goes dead silent. Cao-kun explains he can get most items right away through his family channels and that the rest can be bought at next month's auction. The rich kid hands over his phone happily, proposing they exchange personal contacts so he can send updates as soon as he gets the ingredients. After the hero walks away, the young man strictly orders his henchmen to keep their mouths shut about everything that happened at that black market today. The scene shifts to the Qingteng Academy gym, where several students are taking physical strength tests by punching impact measuring machines. The teacher explains that the results of that test will determine the spots for the institution's main official elite warrior evaluation. A buff green-haired kid steps up to the machine and delivers an insanely powerful punch to the red impact pad. The display flashes with the final result, showing that the force generated by the green-haired kid's punch hit 312 kilograms. Students around start shouting, impressed, jealous of their classmates' power, guaranteeing he already secured first place in class. Lin Yu watches everything silently from his corner, totally calm, calculating that with his new strength level, he'll easily hit 1,000 kilograms on the test. The instructor warns that Lin Yu only gets one single shot at the physical test and tells him to give it his absolute all right now. So the MC prepares mentally and takes his stance to deliver a punch with all his strength on the measuring machine. He rushes forward fast and lands a violent strike, making a massive boom echo throughout the entire training gym. In the middle of the crowd, young Lin Xin watches the attack, super worried about the score her friend is going to get, except the digital panel displays a ridiculous score of just 48 kilograms of physical impact force. Director Lee lets out a taunting smirk and notifies him that with such a pathetic performance, the boy failed the test. The whole class starts gossiping, saying that punch force is worse than a kindergarten kid's. The MC gets extremely confused because he knows that even holding back his power, the result shouldn't be that low. Unwilling to accept it, he tells the instructor the testing machine is broken and demands another attempt on a different device. But the staff member brushes off the complaint, saying all the equipment was calibrated, and tells the next person in line to move up. Lin Yu ignores the orders and walks back toward the device, determined to prove that score is wrong. He readies himself to throw another brutal punch, building up all his energy to break the record once and for all. Suddenly, a hand appears out of nowhere and grabs the MC's fist with total ease before he hits the target. Director Lee shows up furious and asks if he thinks that important evaluation is some kind of lame joke. The guy with glasses bluntly states that his vitality level is low and that the machine's score is accurate. Lin Yu questions the director, asking why he's stopping a retest if there's really no error with the machine. The director gets genuinely angry, accusing the young man of defying school discipline and trying to damage public property. The man starts rolling up his shirt sleeves, warning he'll have to teach him a painful lesson about the school rules Director Lee attacks, leaping at the MC with an insanely fast, energy-packed punch. But the boy shows ridiculous reflexes, dodging the lethal strike with a slick step backward in a fraction of a second. The guy with glasses keeps throwing a combo of heavy hits, while the hero focuses solely on blocking the attacks. Lin Yu backs off, realizing he'll need to counterattack if he wants any chance of coming out of that mess in one piece. The other students comment panicked that the hero messed with the worst possible opponent, since the director is a former military man. During the clash, the young man asks if he can retake the physical test if he manages to defeat the director in that makeshift duel. The opponent lets out an arrogant laugh, finding it hilarious that the pushy student thinks he can win. The two then start trading swift blows in the middle of the gym, kicking up dust and leaving all the spectators in shock. Except military experience makes the difference, and Director Lee manages to grab the hero's neck with major brutality. Even while getting choked, the young man uses his own body weight to try to break free, throwing an overhead kick. He manages to flip in mid-air, breaking out of the man's grip and attempting to trap his opponent's arms with a flawless acrobatic move. The MC tries to land a flying kick, but the director plants himself upside down on the floor and manages to block it. The man gets pushed back by the impact force, letting out a groan of pain as he realizes he underestimated the boy. Director Lee adjusts his glasses, visibly impressed that the troublesome student possesses such refined skills. Except looking forward, he realizes startled that the boy simply vanished from his field of vision out of nowhere. Suddenly, Lin Yu reappears behind his opponent, channeling terrifying dark energy into his red claws. But the hero hesitates for a second, realizing that if he uses that slashing technique, he might end up destroying his teacher. He deactivates his special claws, deciding to use just his normal fists to deliver the final strike from behind. That split second of hesitation is enough for Director Lee to sense the danger and react, blocking the punch. The experienced warrior seizes the opening and slams the MC with extreme force onto the sports gym floor. The director declares the boy's defeat and coldly notifies him that the initial physical strength test score stands. He turns his back on the fallen hero, warning that cheap tricks and cheating aren't allowed in that academy's evaluations. Lin Xin runs frantically toward the injured hero, suggesting he head straight to the nurse's office to patch up his cuts. The boy insists he's fine, focusing on getting another shot at testing his strength to secure his warrior spot. He realizes the gap in power between them isn't that massive and vows to defeat the director as soon as he trains more. Later, the scene shifts to the gloomy crematory number 1 on a starry night with a pretty quiet atmosphere. The MC appears wearing his usual work uniform while getting ready to start the night shift. He recalls Director Lee's harsh words about using dishonest methods to try and pass the school evaluation, so the hero decides he will use only legitimate military martial arts to defeat the man and shut everyone up. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to him in the middle of the crematory's dark hallway. Leaving the guy pretty surprised, Captain Chen Jin reveals that the body count quadrupled lately and that the army sent a guard squad. The seasoned military man looks closely at the hero's bruised face and asks what on earth happened to him to end up like that. Lin Yu plays it off, saying he sparred a bit with his teacher during the day and ended up learning a few new combat moves. Next, he takes the opportunity to ask if he can handle cremating a few extra bodies. That same night, the captain gets concerned about his injuries, but the young man assures him he needs to make as much money as possible for his sister. The military officer notes that 8 bodies remain to be incinerated, and the MC accepts the challenge with open arms on the spot before leaving. Captain Chen instructs the boy to call for help immediately if he runs into any dangerous situation in the facility. All alone, the MC thinks his main goal today is to find the body of a seasoned military warrior to absorb. The metal doors of the facility slowly close, leaving the environment completely isolated from the rest of the world outside. The young man walks silently down the cold hallways of the morgue room, analyzing every single body available for the job. He inspects the first corpse, but quickly realizes that man's build wasn't that of a real trained combatant. Moving to the next gurney, he spots a muscular, bearded man who clearly looks like a veteran warrior. The hero notices the Special Operations Brigade crest on the deceased's uniform, knowing they are the elite among combatants. He apologizes for the intrusion and activates his soul-devouring system to start the memory absorption process right away. All the deceased soldier's blue energy begins transferring straight into the young man's mind in a pretty painful process. The guy travels through the veteran's memories, witnessing the man landing crushing punches against enemies on the battlefield. He sees the soldier confronting massive, dangerous reptilian monsters on the front line using pure physical power alone. The memories show the veteran surrounded by bizarre creatures while shouting for his squad to fight to the end to escape. The system screen pops up, showing the absorption completed successfully and displays 3 skill options for cultivation. The MC picks the first option, military martial arts, realizing that Brigade's fighting style is top tier. The system notifies him that the skill went to level 4, boosting the hero's physical stats and unlocking 2 new moves. To his surprise, the soul-devouring system itself also levels up, allowing soul absorption through simple physical touch. The panel displays full detailed info regarding the new strength stats and skills the boy currently possesses. With the newly acquired techniques, the hero pulls a confident grin, knowing he has tons of grinding ahead after his shift ends. Now in the crematory's training room, the young man starts laying a fast, super noisy combo of hits on the punching bag. He focuses on channeling the force of the crushing punch, using only the rotation of his hips and core to deliver the perfect blow. The young man takes a deep breath and keeps his gaze super locked in before launching the next devastating attack with his right fist. With a fast motion, he twists his body and connects flush with the sandbag, generating an insane wind blast around. The impact is so insane that the training bag almost bursts completely from the extreme pressure of the MC's punch. Even with all that power, the guy feels something is still missing for his technique to come out completely right. Suddenly, Captain Chen appears in the doorway, asking if the boy spent the entire night practicing that combat move. The military officer asks the hero to try swinging a punch at him so he can evaluate his form and impact generation. Without hesitating, the MC steps up and throws a fast attack aimed straight at his experienced military supervisor's face. The captain dodges the punch with total ease and grace, simply tilting his head at the last fraction of a second before the hit. He explains the force is there, but the boy makes the mistake of dropping his shoulder before swinging, telegraphing the attack direction. The veteran guides the boy to relax his shoulders completely and focus energy transfer solely on the twist of his waist and core. The hero thanks him for the valuable advice and decides to try the move again, putting Captain Chen's new tips into practice. He steps up with fixed posture and punches the bag, making a boom way louder than all previous hits combined. The young man gets super hyped, realizing the tip actually worked and that now he truly delivered the punch correctly. The captain asks how long he's been practicing that specific punch, and the boy calmly answers he started tonight. The experienced warrior stands shocked, seeing sand leaking from the punching bag, indicating the penetrating force was colossal. He watches the boy walk away and starts asking himself if the young MC is actually some kind of legendary fighting prodigy. The next morning, students begin arriving for classes at the prestigious, bustling Qingteng Academy as usual. The huge digital board at the entrance displays the official strength ranking, keeping the MC in last place with just 40 kilograms. Students gossip, saying the hero's previous win was pure luck. Since he got easily defeated by the director the day before, Lin Yu walks calmly through the courtyard, ignoring all the nasty comments from his classmates as he heads resolutely to his destination. The boy keeps moving forward and enters the quiet hallway that leads straight to the school's academic affairs office. Stepping into the room, he comes face to face with Director Li, who dismissively asks what that troublesome student is doing there so early. The hero stares at the man with gravity and formally requests permission to retake the physical strength test that very morning. Director Li turns his back, coldly replying that a recorded grade is never altered and tells the boy to stop bothering him with that. At that moment, an imposing voice echoes through the room, asking the reason for all that commotion in the office before classes start. The director turns around, surprised, realizing the mysterious man who just entered the room is the academy's respected principal. Lin Yu greets the principal respectfully and lets him know he came to officially challenge yesterday's questionable physical test results. The man in the suit answers he knows who he is, but reminds him that the 40-kilogram punch matches his low vitality score perfectly. The MC quotes the school rule that allows a student to challenge a grade by challenging the examiner himself to a real public duel. The principal lets out a loud laugh and pats the boy's shoulder, praising the massive courage he is displaying right there. Director Li tries to protest, saying he already defeated the young man easily the day before, and that challenge is a complete waste of time. Lin Yu taunts his rival, asking why he's afraid to fight again, or if he's worried he'll end up getting defeated this time. The principal loves the boy's resolve and approves the duel, deciding that if the young man wins, he can retake his physical test on the spot. Word spreads super fast through the hallways, and students rush to the gym, thinking the hero completely lost his mind overnight. The two opponents take their positions in the center of the gym under the watchful eyes of the entire school, waiting eagerly for the start. Director Lee readies himself for the fight, stating yesterday's painful lesson wasn't enough and that today he'll teach him good manners. The guy with glasses starts the battle, attacking with an insanely fast high kick in an attempt to end the match in the very first second. Seeing the lethal attack, the MC decides he won't hold back his power anymore and blocks the strike with total ease and precision. Lin Yu seizes the opponent's moment of surprise and executes a flawless defensive move, slipping to the opposite side right on time. Using the new military techniques absorbed, the boy moves with mastery and breaks through his rival's guard at absurd speed. He dodges another punch and positions himself perfectly behind his rival, leaving the experienced fighter with zero reaction time. The MC grips Director Lee's arm tightly, applying an advanced joint lock technique he learned from the system. The guy with glasses stands completely shocked and panicked upon realizing the boy managed to reverse his strike with such ease. With a continuous movement, the hero tosses his opponent, making the man lose his balance in a pretty humiliating way. Director Lee can barely believe a simple high school student was capable of counterattacking his secret military technique. Lin Yu charges forward, channeling a massive amount of dark energy around his body to deliver the decisive blow at once. He lands a crushing punch with absurd penetrating power that hits his opponent's defense flush, making the air tremble in the gym. Director Lee gets thrown back violently and slides across the wooden floor, letting out a groan of pain and clutching his bruised chest. Desperate, unwilling to accept defeat in front of all the students, the man stands up furious and tries to go all in. Except the MC moves like a true shadow and dodges his opponent's desperate punch, reappearing right behind his back. Lin Yu places his hand on his tired opponent's shoulder and coldly warns that if this were a real battlefield, he'd already be dead. Students go wild in the bleachers upon seeing that the boy defeated the director using only his bare hands. Director Lee drops to his knees, sweating in fear, unable to comprehend how a regular student managed to evolve so much in just one single night. The MC turns to the principal respectfully and asks if he now finally has permission to retake the test. The head of the academy accepts the request immediately after inspecting the testing device and verifying everything is working fine. The man in the suit thinks to himself that with a physical strength level like that, the boy's vitality score would never be just 0.62. The MC walks smoothly and stops right in front of the punch machine under the watchful eyes of the curious crowd. He lets out a deep sigh and clenches his right fist, which begins radiating an insanely terrifying glowing energy. Lin Yu unloads a max power punch against the red pad, which erupts in glowing sparks due to the monstrous impact. The hero walks away calmly, keeping his cold stance and focused look while waiting for the final score display on the screen. Students watching from the upper floor stand jaw-dropped and completely speechless. Before that flex of power, Director Lee turns pale in terror and stammers, unable to get how that physical miracle could happen right before his eyes. The principal just watches in silence while the scoreboard flashes, displaying the unbelievable mark of over 20,000 kilograms of force.